Welcome to the Seeing Double podcast, hosted by gymowners.com. We're your hosts. I'm Amy Davis.
And I'm Patty Davis.
We're two identical twins with completely different lives. We'll be sharing double the perspective of any topic we dive into.
All right, guys, let's jump in.
Bear with me for a cheesy, kinda awkward analogy. I need to say from the beginning here that we do not have the best driving records, and we are quick to admit this. However, we are asking our audience to buckle up and hold on tight as we take on a thrilling ride through our lives together. We'll be sharing insights, inspiration, and experiences with double the perspective of any topic we dive into.
Let's start off with a little intro. So we're going to go over the goals for the podcast, what we'll be talking about, some topics of future episodes, etc. But I feel like we have to start with the obvious. We do have identical voices sometimes, which might make the podcast interesting. Amy, do we have the same voice?
I'm not sure, but I also don't know exactly how we would test that. We'll just have to listen back.
Okay. So what would we say the goals for this podcast are?
I think that our very first, most potent goal is that we want to be connected despite the distance that we have between us. So we spent the first 20 years of our lives connected by the hip, doing every single thing together. We've had almost identical life experiences until right before we turned 21, I moved to South Florida, about 1,500 miles away from Patty. So now we have this huge distance between us, and we're hoping this podcast can help keep us together and kind of replace the fun, crazy conversations that we've had over the phone for the past 5 years since we've lived separately, and the never-ending texting that we do 24 hours a day back and forth. And instead, we can live in this platform and kind of consolidate all of our conversations to one fun, organized place and bring you into it.
You just cannot wait to share the wedding video of you giving your toast, because it started just like that. You were so confident. You were doing so well. And then you said something that was like, until the day, and she just broke down. She's like, until the day that
I remember actually exactly what it was.
What was it?
I said, we were inseparable. Or so we thought. Yeah. And then I broke down and started crying and shaking in front of everyone and hardly finished the rest of my speech.
2 seats away from you, and I couldn't hear anything you said after that.
So anyways, that is what I believe our biggest goal for this podcast is to...
keeping us close.
Yes. Keep us close together despite the distance between us. What else do you think?
The other crazy thing is that we do have a degree in broadcasting. And I mean, at one point in our lives, we literally thought we were going to be doing this. And somehow this is like just not our lives. We do not do anything like this in our current positions. I'll speak for myself. Like, I've never even been on a camera besides that one bad experience. But Amy, this is not your first time, right?
No. So we went to school for broadcast journalism. We graduated with broadcast journalism degrees, but we had minors in digital marketing. So the very first big kid job that we got was together in downtown Nashville at iHeartRadio. And we were only there for a couple months before I moved down to South Florida, and I transferred to the iHeartRadio branch in West Palm Beach. And while I was working there, I got really, really close with the traffic control people, and they were recording all sorts of fun commercials. It was not on air time. I definitely am quick to say I've never actually been on air, let alone seen my face here as I'm trying to speak to you. But what they did do is they recorded commercials for all sorts of different car dealerships and all these different things. So one of our stations was called Party 106.3. And what he needed a female voice for was their main jingle for the party station. So I'm telling you, I was in this traffic control room with this really nice man for probably an hour, repeating the word party over and over and over again. We had to test all different tonalities of my voice to get party.
Let's hear what you did.
This is what it ended up being, and it was not fun. It literally was like this. Party! It was so high pitched, and I know it was all over the radio. So then this is before cars really went into Bluetooth, so I would still listen to the radio here and there, and AJ and I would be driving to the gym, and next thing you know, we hear party. And oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. And so I think that finally, when I moved on from radio and left iHeartRadio, that they did have to pull all those commercials. And I was just so relieved that that jingle was no longer being heard.
Yes. Let's not do that on this episode ever again or on this podcast. So, second question for you, though. What do you want to be talking about on this podcast? What topics? That type of thing.
We have so much to dive into together. Like, a lot of it will be entertaining and fun, but there is like definitely some serious life experiences that we've taken on together and lessons that we've learned across the years together. We've been through all sorts of different career advancements that have got us to the positions that we're in now. We've been through all sorts of relationships that have got us to the like steady relationships that we have now that we may hit on a little bit. We have a background in health and fitness that I think will be so fun to dive into and so valuable to dive into for our audience to just know like what we have been through in those terms as well. What am I missing? What else will we dive into?
Like stories. I feel like storytelling. So I don't know if I already told you this, Amy, but recently I saw this reel that was about the benefits of storytelling. Do you know any of them?
No.
It's just funny because I'm not quite the storyteller, but I feel like you definitely are. And so sometimes I hear stories and I'm like, I can't believe I was there for that. I've never told that story to anyone in my life. And it's just hilarious when you tell it. But so the benefits of storytelling are that they can teach values, like teach moral values to people listening and even to like yourself as you're telling them. They promote creative thinking, which is so true because sometimes like, especially in Uber rides or like when I don't know the person that I'm talking to and I also don't care what they think of me, if they don't know my name, whatever, I will just start lying. Like I'm telling this story to an Uber driver and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an engineer from Seattle. I'm like, what the hell?
What the heck? I was going to say it's not lying. It's more so stretching the truth because you do work in an engineering field, but like.
I know, but like you don't want them to know the real you. So it's like, anyway, we'll be telling real stories that actually happened to us. And then the last one was just building emotional intelligence. So recapping on things that have happened to you does like help you get your emotions in check and like see what you learned from that. So I feel like you do a good job of that, Amy. And hopefully you can help me during this podcast. So let's dive into the name of our podcast. So Seeing Double and Unfiltered Twin Talk. So Seeing Double, I feel like that's just, there's always two of us. We do match like every single time we're together. And I think this does count as being together. So
I think it does too. I think that we will match for really every single episode because to be honest, we match when we're not even together. Like there are so many times where you post, I don't know, an Instagram story or a selfie somewhere. And I look down and I'm like, that's what I'm wearing. We're wearing the exact same thing. But what it boils down to is we literally have the exact same closet. We have
that is what it boils down to.
Almost all the exact same clothes, especially just like, are they called fundamental clothes or foundational clothes? Like the like basics that you wear. We have all the exact same ones because we have the exact same style and have always liked the same style of clothes. I feel
we
like
go shopping together.
Oh, we've done all of our shopping together across the year. So that's why we just always have the exact same clothes. But like, I've also thought about what if one of us ever changes our hair? What if one of us ever decides to dye our hair? Yeah, I also don't think we are, but I just think it would be crazy if there ever was a day when we weren't identical. Yeah, our mom would kill us. But I think if there was ever a day that we weren't fully identical, it would just be the craziest thing because we are just so used to, like, I can judge an outfit based off of how it looks on you. And then I'm like, I don't really want to wear this one because I saw her wear it and I didn't love it. You know?
She's ugly.
So anyway, so seeing double, that is definitely what that boils down to. But when you use the word unfiltered for the first time, I think that you got it from ChatGPT, but I loved it. And we've talked about this before. I'm forgetting who told us, but someone thought that maybe it has a negative connotation to it or like a negative tone to the word. But I looked up what it means to live life unfiltered, and I want to read just like this like straight up definition from Webster Dictionary because I think this is like huge for us with this podcast and overarching in our lives. Like this is definitely where I guess speaking to myself, want to move to is living life unfiltered. So definition here, living life unfiltered is a way of living that can be summed up by being authentic and sincere. It means to live with acceptance of your limitations and flaws as well as a sense
Nice.
of optimism and hope for the future, which is huge. It also means to accept responsibility for your life. So, do you live your life unfiltered?
I mean,
No.
I can try.
That's a rhetorical question.
mean-
I'm like open-endedly asking, do you live your life unfiltered? That's what it boils down to, and that's what I want to start doing here. That's my goal.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a little intro/explanation of our podcast, Seeing Double, and we can't wait to go on this journey with you all. We will see you soon on Seeing Double and Unfiltered Twin Talk.
Until next time, bye!